I've shared a lot of reasons why I divorced my wife, and a lot of you want to hear her side of the story, so here you go. The biggest reason my wife says that she divorced me is because I destroyed a family heirloom. When her granddad was a teenager in early 1900s Ireland, their family was so poor they had nowhere to sit, so he taught himself how to build a stool. He ended up building 4 stools for his parents, himself, and his sister. And he lived the rest of his life as a carpenter. When he got married, he gifted that very first stool to his wife. He ended up having about 12 grandkids, and only one of them was a granddaughter. That granddaughter was my wife. The two of them were super close, and apparently she loved playing on that stool. So he told her when he and his wife both pass away, she gets that stool. So he passes away. This was a few years before I even met my wife. And about 2.5 years ago, we started taking care of her nana. About a year ago, we put her in a senior living facility. So that stool has been in our house. And one day, she comes outside seeing me sawing off just a little tiny piece of the leg of that stool. Tiny, tiny, tiny. She starts yelling like, "My granddad built that. It was going to go to me. This is a family heirloom." Told me the whole story I just told you, which I did not know at all. So I was like, look, I had no idea that this was your granddad's, but technically, isn't it your nana's? Either way, this is the only option. I know of no other stools that her nana owns. You told me the doctor needed a sample. It's the honest mistake. I didn't.
So this week marks 2 years since my divorce started. Thanksgiving week is when my ex-wife found out about all the money that I lost in the stock market, and I was kicked out of my home. So this is a rough week for me, especially since I'm not able to go home to be with my family on Thanksgiving. And this is a rough week for a lot of men who are estranged from their family because of divorce or custody cases. And a lot of men unalive themselves Thanksgiving week because they can't handle the pain of being estranged from their family, their kids. I've heard a lot of stories of men taking their life during Thanksgiving week because of the pain that they're going through. And if you're a man who is estranged from your family this week and you're struggling, I want you to know that you're not alone. There's a lot of us that are struggling. And I want you to know that it's okay to reach out to someone. It's okay to spend a few days in prayer, crying, upset. But this is not the time to leave this earth. This is the time to heal. This is the time to gain strength. This is the time to get closer to God and yourself. And I know this is going to be a hard week for a lot of you, but I want you to know that if you need someone, my DMs are always open. And I just want you to know you're not alone. I'm struggling too. But taking your life is not the answer this week. You need to push through because there's beauty on the other side of all of this pain. So I love you all. And I'm sorry if you're struggling this week, but just know that you're not alone.
Probably one of the biggest challenges I've had to go through in recent times was probably the separation from my wife about 3.5 years ago. And that was mainly because of, I grew up in a single parent household, and I had these dreams and these ambitions of creating, a family-like environment, in my own house. When that didn't come to fruition, I feel very grateful. My ex-wife Kristen's an incredible human being, and we've separated incredibly consciously. But at the time, I was having this massive ideal shattered, this ideal of a mum and a dad and a family that we're going to have these big Christmases and these lives together. And so when that started to come undone from the perspective of the ideal, it required an enormous amount of work for me to balance the perspective and go, okay, well, where's the benefit in this? How's this serving me?
So here I am at 39 years old. After 7 years, I am divorced. My wife left me. Made a bunch of excuses like, oh, I was abusive, I was a druggie, I'm a child molester, I never gave her any money, she's broke with me, and yada yada yada. When I worked by myself, brought this woman to the United States, took her and her daughter to come to the United States, gave her a job, and stayed at my mom's house for about a year, and then we bought our own house after that, to just one day up and divorce me. I thought marriage was the right thing to do, right? To get married before you have sex and have kids, buy a house. And that was the dream. And I had that. But now I'm left, like, I'm still hurt because of that, right? I think it's time to just move forward. You know, staring at the world through my rear view. You know, just letting most of you guys out there that's going through a divorce, man, it hurts, and you feel betrayed, or you feel like you gave a lot to that person, and they end up leaving you. Just keep praying, bro. Keep doing positive things. Exercise, sober. I don't know. It's just me venting. But after 7 years, it's gone. And I'm back to being single. Back to square root one, to just me by myself again. So I'm almost 40. Next year I'll be 40 years old. So yeah, just felt like venting, man. It's just, you know, been rough. Like 40 is like halfway of your life, kind of, right? So, well, just say a prayer for me, please.
Got married real young, and my first wife passed away. And then I waited, and when I was like 40, I married, and I had 4 stepchildren, and I was working oil field construction, making about $28.40 an hour. Bought a motor home, bought a house, bought a fixer-upper house, you know, all the stuff, you know. And I worked, you know, literally 7 days a week, 24/7. Try to keep my wife happy and take care of my stepchildren. And after about 10 years, she decided she wasn't happy. She wanted to leave. And she left the children with me, and after a couple weeks I said, you know, you need to take them with you, you know. By that time she'd already drawn her money out of the bank, hired a lawyer, and then I got served with papers to vacate my house within 10 days. The sheriffs came out, and within that 10 days, and told me I'd have to pack up my stuff and leave. And I started loading up my stereo system and things like that, and they said, no, only your personal effects. I was only allowed to take my clothes. And then I loaded them up in my pickup. In my pickup, sheriff came back again and said I couldn't take the pickup because it was in both our names and she had a need for it, even though she had a pickup and a car. So I had to unload the pickup and stuff everything in a duffel bag, and that was it. I hitchhiked out with nothing, you know, and I hated God, I hated life, everything, you know, because I did the American dream, you know, went to church every Sunday and, you know, worked hard and everything, saved my money, you know, was a good citizen, and lost everything.
Guys who are going through a divorce or who have gone through a divorce, hear me out. First things first is when you go through a divorce, it's an extremely painful period of your life. It's an awful season. Whether you want it or not, it's really, really stressful. I went through a divorce about 4 years ago, and I have these 2 pieces of advice that I want to give you. The first piece of advice is that you have 2 options. The first option is stay the exact same, continue living the same life you have, maybe start to go out to the bars on the weekend and socialize a little bit. Or option number 2, which is what I did, was I got a notepad out and I wrote down in my notepad all the things that I wanted to do to become a better version of myself. And I passionately pursued those without any kind of distractions. The second piece of advice I have, you are going to have the urge to want to go date new people as soon as your divorce finalizes. Do not do that. You should take a year minimum off of dating anybody and strictly focus on yourself and becoming the best version of yourself. That way, when you do meet the right person, you will be the person that they need in order to have a successful relationship.